Tesla's running. Is this entire show just Tesla today, Will?
Yeah, there's a lot of Tesla.
It's just like
this is the last one.
It's like
This is the last one.
20th story. Tesla's running Autopilot involved in 273 crashes reported since last year. Regulators released the first batch of data since mandating the companies such as Tesla report on serious crashes involving their driver assistance systems. I think we talked about the fact that they were investigating this, but I guess they now have released more data. Is that what's going on? 273 crashes on Autopilot, which sounds like a lot, but actually a lot of people crash as well.
Yeah.
Crashes are pretty common, and there's a lot of Teslas out there, and there's a lot of Autopilot out there. Tesla vehicles made up nearly 70% of the 392 crashes involving advanced driver assistance systems reported since last July. And a majority of the fatalities and serious injuries, some of which date back further than a year, 8 of the Tesla crashes took place before June 2021. Previously, NHTSA said it had probed 42 crashes involving driver assistance, 35 of which included Tesla vehicles, in a more limited data that stretched back to 2016. Of the 6 fatalities listed in the data set published Wednesday, 5 were tied to Tesla vehicles, including a July 2021 crash involving a pedestrian in Flushing, Queens, involving a pedestrian. That's the bad one. Mm-hmm. When you hit the pedestrian, the systems are supposed to see the pedestrian.
Yeah.
And the pedestrian has
nothing to protect themselves.
No metal.
No barriers
around them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. You know what's weird about this, Mo? This is one of those situations where if you're personally affected by something like that, it's like you are. It's hard to not be critical of these technologies, right?
Right.
In the one-off scenario where you were personally affected by it, you'd be like, screw that.
Why do we need to do this?
However, you look at the data, you take a step back, you go, well, how many pedestrians are killed by people actually driving? Mm-hmm. But it's hard to do the math when you're personally affected by something.
Right.
And everybody's raving about how great it is. And everybody, guys like Moog, are buying up shares in incredible volume. And everyone's so excited all the time. But things still do go wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important as well for that information to surface and for people to realize, like, there's no perfect tech out there. And it's going to be part of the process here.
Mm-hmm. The process.
And you're going to have to constantly be making your comparisons with human error versus
AI error.
And doing the math and looking at it from a pragmatic point of view.
Right. It's hard.
It's hard.
It's very hard.
Because I was about to talk about it and say, well, this and that. But then you actually picture the pedestrian, you picture the family, so forth. Mm-hmm. And you go, well, maybe it's not just a conversation because there's more
nuance to the conversation.
You're talking about a very specific math in this case we're talking about people's lives associated with it. So, but it is a very common cause of death, actually, just motor vehicle accidents in general. And if you're making significant improvements, if you're capable of making significant improvements through these types of driver assistance systems, then you don't want the whole thing to be derailed because they fail every so often. It's tough.
Right.
Yeah.
But you definitely want somebody to blame if you're personally impacted by such things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.